Prepare to call Hamas a terror group.
Is it possible to have a rational discussion with you?
I've asked you two questions. Should Hamas stay in power and are they a terror group? You're refusing to answer either of them. That is very telling.
TalkTV. It's the only place where you get the truth.
You've done a book on poetry. Poetry and music for the many. I love poetry. We can agree on that.
On TV, on radio, and on your smartphone. This is TalkTV.
Tonight on Piers Uncensored, I've come to Santa Anita Racetrack in Los Angeles, one of the great sporting arenas in America. I've come here because Frankie Dettori, one of the great jockeys in history, and certainly the most charismatic, announced his retirement last year in England and went on a farewell tour that was so successful, he's ended up unretiring.
A scoop for you guys. I've decided to prolong my career. I'm going to go to the United States for next year and keep on following me.
He wanted a new challenge and he's come here to America to pursue it right here on this track. And he's already having great success. Frankie goes to Hollywood.
And I'm going to be very uncensored.
That is definitely true. So Frankie, last time I spoke to you, you had retired.
Yes.
That was it. You were never getting back on a horse competitively again. And yet here I find you in Hollywood. Frankie's gone to Hollywood.
Frankie goes to Hollywood.
So why did you change your mind?
So basically, when I started last year, I thought, well, I'm going to be 53. I'm going to stop at the top. Obviously, we talked about this before, watching the World Cup, see Ronaldo on the bench, and I thought, well, I want to stop, and then people remember that I was good. I don't want to stop that, I can't get a ride. And then I said, well, I give myself a year. I want to say goodbye to everyone, all the countries that I've been, including my own Italian country. And then when I started winning, and then I thought, well, this is not going to carry on. And then I kept on winning, I got to about August and just couldn't stop winning, and I started having regrets, thinking, am I ready to stop? I'm still in demand. But because I made such a big deal that I was going to stop, and everybody else made such a big deal.
It was the greatest farewell tour since Sinatra.
Yeah,
and he kept coming back.
Yeah, including a life-size statue unveiled by Queen Camilla at Ascot. Yeah. But then, I have to live with myself. And I thought, well, I'm not ready to stop because I'm still doing so well. But I kind of ran out of avenues because it would have been foolish to say I would have carried on in England after what I said. So I only had one option, to come here in California, where I like very much, and it'll just give me a little bit extra time to get out of my system.
It's a stunning racetrack. I mean, I've had a home in LA for a long time. I've never been here. You come here in the morning, it's early, only you would get me out of bed this early. And you come and the sun was coming up, and the magical scene of the Santa Anita track. It's a magical place.
It's amazing. I'll be honest with you. It is probably one of the best looking tracks in the world, with the mountains in the backdrop. The track itself is set in a beautiful piece of land. You got these massive palm trees in the middle of it. I mean the light. I mean if that doesn't take your breath away, no other tracks will. And every morning when I come here, I feel like I'm blessed to be able to, enjoy my last bit of my career in such a beautiful place.
Interestingly, at the very start of your career, you did come here, and you did a couple of years, maybe was it?
I did 4 winters here. I came here when I was 16 as an illegal worker. I came here on a tourist visa, and I mean, the first couple of weeks I go into the track without getting caught, and then eventually I got caught by security, so I had to use other entrances to get in.
When I've spoken to you, we've known each other a long time, about the hard reality of being a jockey. Yeah. The amount of injuries you sustain, and this is not even jump stuff. This is just flat racing. Talk me through the injuries you've had over the years.
Well, first of all, we go extra fast. We go over 40 miles an hour, and we actually about 6 foot off the ground. So, and we race inches to each other. So he only.
Do you have any padding at all or not?
We have little padding, but that's not because obviously weight is a big issue. So you can't put like a hammer around you because it weighs. And so one little mistake can end up in an accident. And when you go that fast at that speed, you break. We were talking about. I mean, I feel like I'm one of the blessed ones. I did, I broke my ankle twice, both of my elbows. I broke my collarbone. I broke my shoulder, ribs, fingers, and I feel like I did all right.
Really?
Yeah. There's a lot of people in my sport that broke a lot more. I mean, when you start this job, the smell, the speed, the adrenaline, the crowd, the excitement gets you sucked into this sport. You never feel or think about the danger. I mean, if you knew where you were going to fall, you wouldn't do it because it is dangerous. But what I said to you just now, the highs overpower the lows of getting injured and messing yourself up. Like I said,
What was the toughest injury you had?
Tough injuries, I mean, they're all tough, because...
What was the hardest to get back from?
Well...
Shoulder?
When I broke my ankle, that took a long time because obviously you need your ankle to balance in the stirrups. Shoulder again, that fixed quickly, but then the pain was there for a year. Every injury is bad because, like every sportsman will tell you, we always try to come back earlier than he should have done because we don't want to miss out. Because the longer you stay off, then you in danger of missing out on a good horse.
And how much you've had 3,000 winners. You've had 3 decades of racing.
About that.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible stats, right?
This is my 37th year. Can you imagine?
How much of that, percentage-wise, have you spent in some form of pain?
You get used to it. I don't know much percentage.
If you were guessing,
I would say a quarter of it.
Really?
Yeah. A quarter of my career, then you always had some sort
you got
of...
something.
Yes, but you don't think like that because, it's always a dangling carrot. There's always a big race coming up. There's always that chance that you will win a big race somewhere, and that kind of is the best painkiller in the world.
The other really tough physical demand of racing is your weight.
Yes.
What is your fighting weight? What's your best weight, would you say?
In America here, I ride at 118 pounds, what is the equivalent of 8 stone 6 in English pounds.
About half a Morgan.
Yes. I would say my body weight be a stone than that. I'd probably be about 9-10 if I eat a normal life. But
so what do you have to do to hit that racing weight?
Basically, I train myself not to eat bad things. For the last 30 years.
The average day, what would you
I don't eat bread, I don't eat junk food. I have a little snack in the morning and just try to have one meal in the evening. Mainly protein, salads, fish, chicken. I don't eat meat very often, but it depends on people. But I won't be lying to you. Sometimes I have a piece of chocolate or, I probably have one bowl of pasta every 3 months. I train every day to keep my weight down. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
It's a big sacrifice.
It's a big sacrifice, and
for 37 years.
Yeah, and it sounds funny, but even when I do have time off, I always go and reach for a chicken Caesar salad. You never see me eat a burger or.
Really?
Because I think my body now can't take it anymore.
Can you drink alcohol or not?
I like wine because I'm Italian, yes, but in moderation. But like I said, my body is now used to not having those kind of rich food. That I'll be honest with you. I now then I'm finishing my career. I'm finding it easier. Maybe because I have a routine. I don't go out as much. That's why California suits me. I mean, everything shuts up here.
It does, yeah.
But, I guess 10 years ago, and I wanted to go out every night, did not suited me. But
You've talked before about being bulimic at various stages.
I did 10 years of being bulimic, yes. I guess between my 30s and 40s.
And you would throw up before races, and things?
Yeah, I would have a meal at night and throw up, or sometimes I would have a big breakfast and throw up. But I didn't do it because I wanted to do it. I did it because the skill doesn't lie. It was a way of lifestyle that I chose to have. No different to, I guess, models have the same problems, or teenage kids that want to be
skinny. A lot of jockeys,
skinny.
I think you said you do. You had to use lots of
everything, yes.
diuretics, everything.
I tried everything. I tried diuretic pills, laxatives, made myself sick. I remember driving car with a sweatsuit with the heaters on. You try extreme things in your job because you have to do the weight. I don't think anybody has done what I've done, and people still do it. They actually choose that because they like it. It's because they have to do the weight. Simple as that.
I mean, it's a physically very hard sport.
Yes.
I don't think most people realise until they listen to someone like you talk about it, just how physically demanding it is.
First of all, like we explained, is the diet. Then you have to be ultra fit, because in a space of a day you can ride 6 or 8 races.
Right.
And you're handling 1,000 pound worth of absolute explosive flesh. I mean, these horses are powerful, and you have to control them. And so that's a physical demand, the diet, and then also the injuries. You know what I mean? And when you do have the injuries, you have to cope with that. So overall, I mean, I didn't sell it very well, right? If you want to become a jockey.
Well, I think it's the reality of it, right?
Well, that is the reality, but we do it because we're addicted to it.
Feeling. I mean, I watched a tape last night preparing for this interview. When you went through the card at Royal Ascot and won all 7 races, only time anyone's ever done that. And the last race, you're on a horse where you don't think you got a chance of winning. What's the name of the horse?
Fujiwara Crest.
Right. And you're leading, but Pat Eddery's coming behind you.
I could hear him.
You can hear his whip.
I could hear him.
And you think he's going to beat it. And somehow you get a second win with this horse, and it wins. That moment when you crossed the line and knew you'd gone through the card at Royal Ascot, what is that like? What's that feeling like?
Well, you get that feeling of, basically it's like everything, when you cross that line, everything just goes in slow motions. You just, you're just galloping on top of this horse. You got time to look at a crowd, and everybody's going ballistic. They only last for a few seconds, and you're back to real life. And it's in a way, it's very selfish. It's an emotion that you can never explain. I mean, like I said, never mind the dangers, but the crowd, the smell, the speed, the excitement, and you cross that line, and the euphoria what hits you is incredible. That's why you get addicted, and that's why I do it.
And is that why you can't really give it up yet?
Yes. Obviously, it'd be much easier if I didn't get a chance of winning that many.
You don't need the money, right? I mean, you've made enough money not to worry about.
Yeah, but you do it because you love it. Because otherwise, it's hard to let go. I got great sympathies for other sportsmen that had to stop. I mean, I stopped for a week and I didn't like it. So I know 53 sounds a big number, but I still feel that I'm still competitive, even though that I'm racing with jockeys 30 years younger than me.
Well, how many of them actually weren't even alive when you started?
I would say 70%.
Really?
It's crazy, right?
That's nuts.
It's crazy.
And how do they treat you?
It's funny because now we call it the jocks room, right?
I love this jockey room. This is amazing bit of history.
This place is timeless. You can come here at 16 or 53, we're all the same age. It's only when you step out of there that you feel your age. But when you come here, it's great banter. We all treat each other the same. And if you do something wrong, everybody jumps on you.
What about this? Because I always think in any sport, what differentiates the good from the great is a mental thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that comes with experience. Nobody is born with that great mindset. Experiences of life, circumstances, emotions. When you're young, you have emotions, but you don't know how to deal with them, right? So as you get older, you deal with emotions, with when you get butterflies, when you're nervous. You know, I'm no different. 21, even in my age, I still get a dry mouth. You know, if I ride a favorite big race, I'm the first one to tell you. Of course, I'm nervous, but nervous is good because now I know how to deal with it. But you can't teach that. You got to learn it.
You've also got to have, in your sport in particular, a ferocious work ethic, right? I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
You can't wing it, can you?
No, you can't. Physically, you've got to be ultra fit. You've got to put your own work. And then, but also, you've got to have that natural touch. You know, you can work as much you can, but sometimes you got to let things happen. You got to use your natural instincts. You cannot predict how the race is going to go. Or no striker can predict how he's going to score, but you got to use your natural ability. And that's the difference from, you know, being a normal jockey or to be a superstar. You know, and it applies the same to any other sport. You know, when you see geniuses like Messi, you know, they do things that I don't think they...
Who do you most admire in other sports?
Oh, I admire all the sports. You know, obviously I'm a big football supporter. I even admire the boxers, the work ethic they have to put up. The rugby players, you know, I don't know too much about cricket, but, you know, sometimes you see, like the World Cup this year was, you know, I know India got beat, but it was an amazing game. You know, I like all these great sporting events. And as you know, the Super Bowl is coming up. That's be another amazing event.
We're here!
Thanks for joining us.
You're with TalkTV, on radio, online.
We're on your smart speaker as well.
Criminals using XL bully dogs as weapons to threaten others.
No matter how well trained, most dog owners will tell you a dog can turn.
Do you know what I love about Sport Today? We do it all. Sunak, Suella, scones.
I rather like David Cameron. I don't sort of bear him any ill will because he delivered the referendum that he said he would deliver.
The Tories love a scrap. You can almost see this coming round the tracks with Suella Braverman. She's heading up one side and Rishi Sunak the other.
The police are pro-Palestine. That is just not right. You swear an oath in the police to act without fear or favour.
The COVID inquiry seems to have turned into a sort of pantomime. There's not really any substance to it.
It's hard to know whether it's a farce or a tragedy. The amount of time it's taken, the number of illegal migrants currently sent by us to Rwanda, zilch. The amount of money it's cost, what are we saying it's cost?
About 140 million.
140 million pounds so far. So 140 million pounds, so far result nil, absolutely nil. Are we only going to be trusting sources like Meta and Google? Where is our unbiased news going to come from?
Calais in winter is cold.
That is from the Jeremy Corbyn book.
Kevin O'Sullivan is the worst presenter on TalkTV, sitting on his fat arse talking for a living.
If you're walking towards me and you're a vegan, you should have a great big orange sticker over here saying, "Watch out, vegans about."
The weirdest plank that we've had in, 3 years? Hundreds and hundreds of mice in a box, which he walked into a branch of McDonald's. McMouse Man.
McMouse Man, yeah.
McMouse Man.
It should be easy enough to catch this guy, shouldn't he? I mean, he's got a house full of mice.
He's on
This is a major summit.
President Biden decided this was important after watching a Tom Cruise film.
Sunak and the current Conservative government are not conservative.
Why don't you leave that party and come to one that actually shares your ideologies?
This has been a party political broadcast on behalf of the Reform UK Party.
Hi, Ofcom.
Kids think all they have to do is take pictures of everything.
Just shut down TikTok. Problem solved.
This is really unfair.
What's unfair?
If it's on camera, we're not doing the interview.
Yes, I'm going to do.
You're going to resign?
Yes, because I cannot continue my work. When I say I am God, I'm not joking.
Did you feel Elvis was controlling?
I've been answering your question, you answer mine.
It's actually not my job to answer your questions. Are you prepared to call Hamas a terror group?
Is it possible to have a rational discussion
can you? I've asked you two questions. Should Hamas stay in power and are they a terror group? You're refusing to answer either of them. That is very telling.
TalkTV, it's the only place where you get the truth.
You've done a book on poetry. Poetry and music for the many. I love poetry. We can agree on that. You've had two moments in your life since you became a professional jockey which could have ended everything. One your own fault, and I'll come to that in a moment. The first one, though, was the plane crash, which is really one of those moments in your life
Miracle.
where it was a light aircraft, you were going from one race course to another. The pilot very sadly died. You were with your great friend and manager, Ray Cochran, at the time. You both managed to get out just before it all went up in flames. What do you remember about what happened that day?
What I remember about, in a nutshell, I can explain it. It'll take hours, but basically on takeoff, something went wrong. Plane went down.
What were you feeling as it went down?
What I felt when I was down, I looked at Ray, and as I was staring as the ground was approaching, I didn't have time to scream, and I was just disappointed that I was going to die. I was thinking to myself, I'm 29 years old. I just had a 6-month child. Why are you taking me now? I was just disappointed. Why now? You know what I mean? I've got so much to look forward in life. That's all I felt.
You really thought you were about to die?
That's it. No two questions about it. And some miracle.
What was the landing like?
Some miracle. Well, the wing of the plane clipped this bank, what made the plane rotate. Anyway, never mind that. So it was just like an enormous speed in a washing machine. I don't know what happened.
Can you remember that?
Yeah, I remember the impact. And then obviously my skin on my forehead went all the way back. So my blood was pouring in front of my face. And I was in a state of concussion, I guess, where I had 180 vision. I could see the two engines on fire. And I saw the pilot inch down in front, but I couldn't move. I was just paralyzed. I just couldn't. I knew that I had to get out, but I could not move. And then Ray gave me a nudge. He was next to me, and he kind of woke me up. And I realized then I broke my leg. And when I went to get out, it was a 6-seater twin engine. The plane was like in bits. The door didn't exist anymore. And luckily for us, the luggage door was just in the back of the seat, was half open. And as I crawled out, I realized I had a broken leg. Ray pushed me out. Then he crawled out and he dragged me away from here to the end of the room. And
he was concerned that because so much fuel was on the plane, that it could all go up.
And then he took his jacket off, and he tried to go back for the pilot, and the plane exploded. And he was burned from head to toe, and it was, I could hear him yelling of anger because he couldn't get the pilot out. So, it was a trauma for me. I lost my good friend, my pilot. I was lucky twice, lucky to be alive the crash and lucky to be alive then Ray got me out of that plane. I couldn't be burned alive. It took me 17 years to get back on the plane.
Did it really?
Yeah, I mean, I was scarred, and even now when I get
How long between you getting out of the wreckage and it going up was it?
Seconds.
Really?
Seconds.
So you were seconds from just...
Yeah. I mean, imagine the two wings of plane were full of fuel. Seconds.
So Ray saved your life?
He did, yeah. Yeah, and saved my life, and I owe him my life. And when he had big neck problems after the crash, so I told him to quit racing, and he became my manager for 20 years. So.
Do you ever talk about it together?
Ray never talked about it. We talked about it 20 years after.
Really?
Yeah. We had a toast together. Ray's a very deep man. He, never talked about it. And I'm an outgoing person. Always talked about it. He kept it to himself. And I mean, you can't explain what we've been through. And there is ways to deal with it. Perhaps I should have sought help, but I had good family around me. And here I am. I shouldn't be here. There we go.
It's an extraordinary story.
Mad. Yeah, twice.
And I read that that later you were thinking, you were 29, you were thinking you'd always wanted, as an ambition, a young Italian,
That's right.
to buy a Ferrari.
That's right.
And you just thought, well, what am I waiting for?
That's right.
I could have died just then.
No,
and you went and bought a Ferrari.
I said to myself, when I get to 30, if I've got enough money, I'll have to get a Ferrari, being Italian. And at 29 and a half, after I got out of the hospital, as soon as I could walk a little bit, I went to get myself one. I thought, you know why? And, you know, it did change my life. You know, I would say, if that didn't happen, I probably would have been more successful in my career. But, you know, I become...
Why? Because you spent more time with family?
Yeah, I was more focused and I was tunnel vision. But after that, you know, family, you know, I've got 5 children.
Yeah.
You know, I juggle life and riding and try to get the best of both worlds. And, you know, a lot of times you think, you know, why should you get upset? You know, after what happened to me, a lot of things really don't really matter, you know.
The other thing that could have ended everything for you professionally was when you tested positive for cocaine in 2012. And you really struggled for quite a long time, 18 months, to get another good ride. You thought maybe that's it. That was a self-inflicted wound.
Yeah.
When you look back at that, I mean, obviously, fortunately, you had a sort of saviour who came along and picked you up and said, right, I'm gonna back you.
So basically, yeah, look, I was a silly boy, you know, went out, took some drugs, got tested a week later, and it was in my system. You know, I wasn't doing it because I was riding, it was more recreational. And yeah, quite rightly so, I admitted it. I got 6 months banned, took my family out of school, we went around the world because, you know, obviously, they were getting bullied, they were getting picked on at school, you know, I had paparazzi outside my house.
How did that make you feel that you'd brought that on everyone?
Not great. I think the biggest disappointment is telling my own parents.
How did they react?
Not great. My dad being old-fashioned. Kids, you know, they thought it was quite funny having paparazzi outside there to smuggle me in and out of the car with a blanket. We had a good time together around the world, and you know, I served my time. I did my 6 months. I came back, and I thought, well, everything's going to be on Kidori, come back. But you know, obviously, nobody would touch me. You know, for some reason.
You said you felt like a leper. It was
like I mean, I took it. You know, it took me. I just couldn't get a ride for about a year, and then yeah, I got to a point a year later. I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I thought, well, I've got no other choice. You know, I can't get any business, so maybe I have to look to do something else. Maybe
what would you have done if you hadn't been?
Probably maybe go into the media. But you know, I wasn't ready to quit. You know,
how were you feeling in that wilderness period?
I felt terrible. I felt terrible, and you know, and then the worst thing was, you know, even my wife started doubting me. You know, she said to me the famous word, "Show me how good you are."
Really?
You know, one day, you know, we were struggling to pay bills, and things were going bad, and we all end up in an argument. And she turned around and said, "Well, you know, all your life you're telling me how good you are. Look at us now. We can't pay bills. Just show me how good you are." And
wow, that's a moment.
And that was like, you know, somebody shot me in the heart, right? You know, coming from my own wife, and that really got me fired right up. And I just said nothing, and I put my head down, and I persisted. I carried on, and 18 months later, a year later, I goes and win the Epsom Derby on Golden Horn, and we had a massive party at home, a few drinks with friends.
That feeling when you crossed the line and you'd won the derby.
Oh, that was amazing, that feeling. But the feeling was when I got home and we did the party.
Did you say to your wife, "That's how good I am"?
So basically, when everybody left the house and we were sitting there, and I said, "Do you remember what you said to me a year ago?" I said, "That's it." I said, "Don't ask me again. I've done it now." So that was it. So, but, you know,
what did she say?
She said that at the time I needed something like that
you probably did.
To make me believe, or to give me a push. And yeah, I mean, those famous words, "Show me how good you are," yeah, they imprinted in my house, trust me.
That's an amazing story.
Mad. But, you know, I think, you know, sometimes we all need someone to touch that nerve.
Yes.
You know, and
fire you up again.
And that's at the time, that's what I needed. And you know, who better person than your own wife, who knows me so well, to just, you know. And she said, you know, I just needed to say that, and it worked.
How important has she been, Catherine, to you?
Well, you know, she's been with me 30 years. I mean, I feel sorry for her that I brought her through this crazy life, you know, never mind self-inflicting stupid things that I've done, plane crashes, nearly killed myself, every day worried that I could end up in hospital when I ride. You know, it must be a worry for a woman to marry somebody like me, but she stuck with me. We had some amazing times together, and, you know, she's been so good to me.
Do you remember when you proposed to her?
I did, yeah. I was in Scalini, one of my favorite Italian restaurants in London, and yeah, it was a nice afternoon in London, and I got on my knee, and I remember everybody...
In the restaurant?
In the restaurant, everybody stood up and clapped. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was sweet.
Did you have a ring?
I did have the ring, yes. Yeah, of course. And I was told, because I'm not English, I was told I had to go and see the father. Then I went to see Catherine's dad the night before, and I got a full lecture from his father. And
how did you sell yourself to him?
Well, I said, listen, I came to ask the hand of your daughter. And he sat me down and said, listen, he said, before you start this, she's going to finish her studies. You're going to look after her. Give me a proper wash down, proper good English wash down. But yeah, great. Yeah, I'm, you know, 5 kids.
What's the secret to a lasting marriage, do you think?
I think we don't live in each other's pocket. She lets me get on with what I have to do. She's been ultra busy with children. And we meet in the middle, you know. We have our own things that we like. And, you know, she just gives me free reins to be what I have to be, you know. I'm a showman at the races, that's what I am, and she just lets me do, you know, what I have to do. What is very important to have that backing.
We're here.
Thanks for joining us.
You're with Talk TV, on TV, on radio, online.
We're on your smart speaker as well.
You know what I love about Talk Today? We do it all. Sunak, Suella, scones. I rather like David Cameron. I don't sort of bear him any ill will because he delivered the referendum that he said he would deliver.
The Tories love a scrap. You can almost see this coming round the tracks with Suella Braverman. She's heading up one side and Rishi Sunak the other. The police are pro-Palestine.
That is just not right. You swear an oath in the police to act without fear or favour.
The COVID inquiry seems to have turned into a sort of pantomime. There's not really any substance to it.
It's hard to know whether it's a farce or a tragedy. There needs to be one human per machine to come and rectify beeps and the clanks and when it goes wrong.
Unexpected item in bagging area.
I know. Are we only going to be trusting sources like Meta and Google? Where is our unbiased news going to come from?
Graham was president of the Cambridge Union, which is the rubbish version of being president of the Oxford Union.
Kevin O'Sullivan is the worst presenter on Talk TV, sitting on his fat arse talking for a living.
If you're walking towards me and you're a vegan, you should have a great big orange sticker over here saying, watch out, vegans about.
Twitter, you sons of Can you please reinstate my account?
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is a major summit. President Biden decided this was important after watching a Tom Cruise film.
Kids think all they have to do is take pictures of everything.
Just shut down TikTok. Problem solved. When I say I am God, I'm not joking.
Did you feel Elvis was controlling?
I've been answering your question, you answer mine.
It's actually not my job to answer your question. Are you prepared to call Hamas a terror group?
Is it possible to have a rational
You can't,
discussion
can you?
with you?
Talk TV. It's the only place where you get the truth.
This is Talk TV.
The other family that you've been very attached to is the royal family.
Yeah.
Who love you, you
Yeah.
love them. Particularly, you had an amazing relationship with Her Majesty the Queen, the late great Queen. When did you first meet her? Do you remember?
Of course I did. I knew for over 30 years. Back in the days when I was in my early 20s, I used to ride for a trainer called Ian Baldwin. And Ian Baldwin had most of the Queen's horses. And so that's how I met her. And, even 30 years that I met her, every time I met her, nervous wreck, she had this horror, but she always had the ability to make you feel good. So I'll tell you a funny story. I won a big race 15 years ago. And it was a Sunday, so after racing, I had a big party. It was a lovely spring day, and I left all the doors open. I had dogs, and 200 people turned up. We had an amazing party. And I woke up the next day, and the house was destroyed, full of bottles, and I realized I lost one of my dogs, but she had a tag. And it was a message on the answer machine, and the message said, "Hi, we found your dog. Please call us back on this number." And the lady who found the dog was Caroline Warren, the Queen racing manager's wife. So I rang Caroline and said, "Hi, Caroline, sorry, but I heard that you have my dog. Can I come and collect it?" And she said, "Listen, if you come this evening, the Queen's coming to Newmarket to see the horses in the morning. So you can say hi to the Queen and pick up the dog." I mean, great idea. So my wife's in the courtyard. She's cleaning the ponies, and I opened the window and said, "Honey, I found the dog." And she said, "Where is the dog?" "Oh, the Queen's got it." She said, "Don't be silly." "No, I swear the Queen's got it. I'm going to pick it up tonight." So my daughter got all dressed up. We went to get the dog. And then she was having a gin and tonic next to the fire. And I had a gin and tonic with her. And she spent 20 minutes talking to my daughter about ponies and about school. And then they let the dog out. The dog ran towards me and peed in the Persian carpet.
In front of the Queen?
In front of the Queen, of John Warren. And the Queen started laughing. And John got really red-faced, got really upset. And that moment, I got escorted out. Said, "We've got to have dinner now. You better go, Frankie. Bye-bye." But the Queen was just creased laughing. She was so funny to be around.
She also had an amazing knowledge of horse racing. This wasn't someone who did it as like a little mild hobby. She,
60 years.
She knew everything, right?
Yes, 6 years. Listen, it's incredible. She rode till she was in the 90s around Windsor Park. And yeah, of course, she bred horses for 6 years.
You rode 50 winners for her?
Yeah, I rode over 50 winners, yeah, amazing.
Did it always feel a little bit extra special when you won a race for the Queen?
But it's, you know, when you got her colours in the peg like that, there was already excitement, you know, and, you know, amazing. She's royal, you know. I mean, she was racing. Her family started racing 300 years ago. King Charles I, 350 years ago. So racing is in the blood, and she had so much knowledge, and she loved that. She absolutely loved racing.
Didn't you used to occasionally try a Cockney accent with her?
You know, she used to. I tried, but it didn't go very well. But
what was it you said to her?
"How are you?" But I said it.
What did she say?
She said to me, "I'm still here." Usually she just bow and say, "Your Majesty," but I kind of froze and I went, "How are you?" And she went, "I'm still here." But she was.
What would you talk about just generally when you saw her?
Everything. She liked to hear the gossip about the inside gossip. Who, you know, which train I was going out with. All the juicy gossip.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, she was very interested about that, and you know, she just loved to be around racing people.
When she died, it was a huge moment for the country.
Yeah.
You're a kind of anglicised Italian. You're Italian, but you've obviously spent a lot of time in England. What was that moment like for you? How did you hear that she died?
Well, I saw her, the last time I saw her was a Royal Ascot, and she obviously quite frail. She couldn't get up and down the stairs, and they made a little room next to the paddock so she could watch the racing. And to a point, I nearly took the horse inside the little booth to show the horse. And yeah, and you know, you always feel she's immortal. And when it does happen, it's a shock, you know, because I felt she was immortal. And I remember we were meant to race at Doncaster that night, and the race got cancelled, quite rightly so. Yeah, and it just...
How did you hear?
I think we just heard on the radio, I think, or from a phone call. And yeah, just...
I felt quite emotional when
I it just comes a shock, real shock. Like I said, because, you know, I always felt that she was immortal. And, you know, we lost a great person, great monarch, Well, a great person, and you know, I'm the first one to say that I met her for 30 years. You know, she really touched me, the way she made you feel and the way she was. And you know, I'm not the only one. I mean, I would say millions of people feel the same.
But actually, very few would have had the access you did.
Yeah.
Or that kind of relationship, because she loved horse racing almost as much as anything else in her life.
Yeah, you know, I probably saw another other side of it. I mean, a lot of times I saw her in events, and she would make a detour to find somebody into racing because she kind of find that exciting. Yeah, I'm very lucky, and also the new king. You know, I was, you know, I never really met King Charles like I did this year. You know, he came to Royal Ascot 5 days straight, to a point on day 5, I was invited to have lunch at Windsor Castle on day 5, and I did the ride on the carriage, and he turned around to me and said, you know, my mum would have been proud to see me racing 5 days straight. So I think we got him interested in horse racing, and it's good because it's nice to keep the tradition, and especially now that we are in this jockey's room. I feel very proud that he's beginning to enjoy racing.
You recently went to the jungle in Australia, competed in I'm a Celebrity. You were the first to be kicked out of there, which I think is probably a blessing. I don't know why you even went in.
Me too.
But it's like, at least you haven't got to stay in there with these. Was it even remotely an enjoyable experience, or is it just as awful as I imagine it is?
Well, it was exactly what I thought. You know, you've got to have a mindset. And if you got a chink in your arm or any weaknesses, it's going to find you. You know, it's hostile where we are. You sleep in a bench. You eat rice and beans. The dongy, or the toilet, I used to call it, is all on the ground, more or less. The humidity and the loneliness, you know, because you're there by yourself. Okay, you're with other people, but you got no watch, no contact from the outside world.
How did you feel about being the first to leave?
I don't really know what was televised on TV because I was there 24 hours and they cut it down into 1 hour. And talking to the people outside, they were all interested in politics, Nigel Farage, or people arguing. You know, I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover. I had a great time in there, but they never air showed all the fun times that I had. You know, they were more interested about what Nigel Farage or Britney Spears' sister were going to say.
Of course,
you know? They didn't care what a jockey were going to say. Yeah. So, but you know, it was an experience, and I've done it. I'll tick that box, and that's it.
You also were named in the top 6 nominees for the Sports Personality of the Year on the BBC, a very prestigious. You've won it many years ago. To be in the top 6 when you're 53 years old, of the top 6 sports people in Britain, is pretty incredible, huh?
I think the only one born when I started riding was Stuart Broad.
Yes.
All the others weren't even born. It's quite scary. Yeah, amazing. Obviously, this late in my career. And also, racing is not a football, cricket, tennis, rugby sport followed, or like the Olympics. So it's a great privilege for me to be nominated. And also for my sport, you know, because I promote myself, I also like to promote my sport.
How did you feel about a member of the women's Lionesses team winning, given they actually hadn't had a very good year?
Yeah,
they lost the World Cup, they didn't qualify for the Olympics, and they still won it, having won it the year before.
Maybe I should lose a bit more to get in the top 3.
Well, should it only go to people who've actually won something that year?
Yeah, I saw your podcast you did. You know, I agree with you, but you know, even Stuart Broad, I mean, amazing. It's last year. He's won everything, and he didn't win it either. But it's what people watch or like. So, but
are we becoming, Frankie, a country which has moved from celebrating great champions and winners to now we almost celebrate losing? That's what it feels to me. We've moved as a society from a really good...
The underdog.
Yeah, but it's not even the underdog. Just, okay, you've lost. We're going to give you a participation prize, right?
Well, perhaps so. You know, I must say, all those 6 nominees, including myself, I mean, you know, we've done something great. But, you know, it's down to the public to decide. and I'm not bitter. Like I said, already been nominated. I feel like a winner.
We're here.
Thanks for joining us.
You're with Talk TV, on TV, on radio, online.
We're on your smart speaker as well.
Criminals using XL bully dogs as weapons to threaten others.
No matter how well trained, most dog owners will tell you a dog can turn.
Do you know what I love about Talk Today? We do it all. Sunak, Suella, scones. I rather like David Cameron. I don't sort of bear him any ill will because he delivered the referendum that he said he would deliver.
The Tories love a scrap. You can almost see this coming round the tracks with Suella Braverman. She's heading up one side and Rishi Sunak the other. The police are pro-Palestine.
That is just not right. You swear an oath in the police to act without fear or favour.
The COVID inquiry seems to have turned into a sort of pantomime. There's not really any substance to it.
It's hard to know whether it's a farce or a tragedy. The amount of time it's taken, the number of illegal migrants currently sent by us to Rwanda, zilch. The amount of money it's cost, what are we saying it's cost?
About 140 million.
£140 million so far. So £140 million, so far result nil, absolutely nil.
Are we only going to be trusting sources like Meta and Google? Where is our unbiased news going to come from?
Calais in winter is cold.
That is from the Jeremy Corbyn book.
Kevin O'Sullivan is the worst presenter on Talk TV, sitting on his fat arse talking for a living.
If you're walking towards me and you're a vegan, you should have a great big orange sticker over here saying, "Watch out, vegans about."
The weirdest plank that we've had in, 3 years? Hundreds and hundreds of mice in a box, which he walked into a branch of McDonald's. McMouse Man.
McMouse Man, yeah.
McMouse Man.
He should be easy enough to catch, this guy, shouldn't he? I mean, he's got a house full of mice.
He's on
This is a major summit. President Biden decided this was important after watching a Tom Cruise film.
Sunak and the current Conservative government are not conservative.
Why don't you leave that party and come to one that actually shares your ideologies?
This has been a party political broadcast on behalf of the Reform UK Party.
Hi, Ofcom. Kids think all they have to do is take pictures of everything.
Just shut down TikTok. Problem solved.
This is really unfair.
What's unfair?
If it's on camera, we're not doing the interview. So.
Yes, I'm going to do.
You're going to resign?
Yes, because I cannot continue my work. When I say I am God, I'm not joking.
Did you feel Elvis was controlling?
I've been answering your question, you answer mine.
It's actually not my job to answer your questions. Are you prepared to call Hamas a terror group?
Is it possible to have a rational
discussion?
You can't,
can you? I've asked you two questions. Should Hamas stay in power and are they a terror group? You're refusing to answer either of them. That is very telling.
Talk TV. It's the only place where you get the truth.
You've done a book on poetry. Poetry and music for the many. I love poetry. We can agree on that. What's been the greatest accolade for you? You've won so many things. What's the one that meant the most to you?
Well, I'll be honest with you, my biggest achievement, obviously, winning 7 races in a day. But overall, you know, being on top of my game for 30 years, thought, you know, I had enough to do it for 10. So to do it for 30, I can sit here and be proud of it, that, you know, I'm still competitive at 53. So
how long do you think you can realistically continue for?
How long is a piece of string? As long as
you're going to be like Sinatra, just keep retiring and coming back.
Well, no, listen, I'm not gonna. I feel like this is my last bit of my career here in California. I enjoy it. You know, if you can get 1 or 2 more years out of it, it'd be great. But in my sport, you never know. You know, fingers crossed. Then I don't have any accident, and I'm still competitive enough. And if I can get, like I said, another 1 or 2 years, be great. Piers.
Do you like America?
Love it.
What do you like about it?
I feel a bit freer than I am in England. I don't sound spoiled, but okay, I'm famous on the racetrack. But I can step out, paint my toenails, or wear a miniskirt, nobody cares. No,
are you doing that?
No, I don't do that. But I'm just telling you, that's the difference, right? In England, or in Europe, you get judged what you wear or what you do. You're always looking yourself behind. That's the difference, that I find a bit more relaxing. You
have a very competitive dad. He was a champion jockey many times himself. Gave you a hard time when you were
Still
young.
is.
Still gives you a hard
82,
time.
it still is. It still tells me what I should have done, and which gap I should have took.
Really?
Obviously, my dad was a jockey, professional jockey.
Yeah, and very successful.
Very successful. So I can't pull a wool over his eyes because exactly what I did right or
You
wrong.
were quite, from what I've read, you were quite a sort of shy, retiring
Yes,
young kid, right?
I was.
You weren't this charismatic
No, absolutely.
thunderball. And your first race, your dad gave you a pony. You had a first race. You came last, and you fell off after the finishing line.
That's right.
When that happened, did you ever imagine in your wildest thoughts that you might end up as one of the
No.
great jockeys in history?
Not absolutely no. I was quiet, nice, non-ambition person. Then my dad kicked me out of home. He didn't kick me out. He sent me to England. But it was like being kicked out because I couldn't speak English. I'm going to a different country. I was getting bullied. The weather, the food, everything else was different. And but that manned me up. And also, I didn't want to embarrass my dad, so it made me work extra hard. And then the riding started. I realized that, oh, maybe I'm quite good. And then it snowed out of my control. I started winning, and then from a little ball, it became a big ball, and then I became what I am now. But I never started with the ambition that I was going to be great.
When you ride now,
just got
there's a little part of you still trying to prove a point to your dad?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my dad is, I don't think my dad has ever said, well done.
Really?
Never. No. He's
Never?
Never. I don't think he has.
Even when you
no,
won the 7 races
it might
at
just,
Ascot?
it might just as a grunt. No, when
even when you went through the card at
when I won the 7th race at Ascot, guess what? I turned around to my mum and said, oh, I think the teletext is broken because Frankie's won all 7. He couldn't believe it. He didn't believe it.
But did he congratulate
No,
you?
he didn't. No.
Are you serious?
Of course, I'm serious. That's Dad.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
Yeah, he's like, doesn't. If he says nothing, that means well done. Yeah.
Are you like that with your kids?
Completely the opposite. Spoil, I give him everything. We're completely the opposite to my dad. But,
but despite the
old,
way he is,
the old generation.
Do you think that work ethic, that will to win, the competitive spirit, all of that, do you think in the end you've got a lot of your success because of the way your dad was?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I've stopped now asking him because I always end up arguing with him. I says, Dad, you push me, you brainwash me to become a champion. What about, especially my sport, if I halfway through my career, I would have broke my knee and stopped riding. I would have felt inside, would have felt a loser, and he turns around and says, well, I can't answer that. Look, you're a champion. Yeah, but what, he never gave a thought about something beyond your control that could happen. But
isn't that a champion mentality?
Yeah, but it probably is. But I got to thank him to make me think like that. But it's something that I can't do to my children. Maybe because I'm new generation. Maybe because I'm soft. I just can't do it. But
what was your mother? What's she been like with you?
Sorry?
Has your mother been
Oh,
different?
my mum, she's like mothers. Loves me. My dad's super tough.
What was your mother's proudest moment, do you think? Maybe when you got the MBE from the Queen?
Listen, my mum, she's, proud, everything that I do. She's a typical mama. She just wants to cuddle me and feed me. And, my dad, look, my dad is proud too. Obviously doesn't show it, but like what you said at that point, if it wasn't for him pushing me, I would never be here because I didn't have it in me.
Have you pointed out to him that you've now continued for 2 years longer than him?
No, I don't want to rub it in. Listen, the dad is 82. Luckily, he's still with me. His brain is good. Obviously, he's a bit frail, but I guess I'm keeping him alive by him watching me still ride. So it's good. It's good. That,
a lovely story, Frankie, about you is the 7th ride you had at Ascot when you went through the Cup. You ended up keeping that horse as a pet.
So basically, Fujama Crest also won the 7. He ended up going jump racing, and I think he had a pelvis injury, so it was going to end up, God knows. So I rang the trainer and I said, could I please buy off him? And I took him home and became my pet for 20 years. He lived in the field, And he was the horse who made me famous. He was the horse who won the 7th race. And, I gave him a good life until the very end. And he passed away one day in the field. He didn't suffer. He just, he lived a ripe old age till he was about 25.
That's a lovely story.
Yeah. Well, I owe it to him, He made me famous.
Finally, if I could have the power to let you relive any race in your entire career on any horse, again, right now, you can do it right out on that track, which one would you choose?
Very hard to say.
You only have one.
I would say, because it's fresh in my mind, this year's Champion Stakes, my ever last ride in England, on my retirement day, the day that the Queen unveiled my statue, I win the Champion Stakes. I couldn't wrote it. I don't think not even Hollywood could have wrote the finale. So I would say that, Piers.
How would you like to be remembered? If you could write your own tombstone, here lies Frankie Dettori.
I've had fun along the way, yeah, I was, I've did my job with a smile in my face.
And we're both Arsenal fans.
Absolutely.
We're going through a very tough period right now.
I know.
I
can't fix that.
We haven't won the Premier League since 2004.
I know.
You're a miracle worker. Do you see any prospect we can do it this year?
Yeah, we still got 3 weeks. If we buy a nice centre forward, I think we can.
We've got to have a winner, a striker.
Come on.
A killer.
Come on.
Like you.
3 weeks left. Come on. We've got plenty of time to buy one.
Frankie, great to see you in
Piers.
Hollywood.
Thank you, Piers.
All the best.
We're here.
Thanks for joining us.
You're with TalkTV, on TV, on radio,
online.
We're on your smart speaker as well.
They have made a statement condemning Hamas.
We expect to see the Crown revisit Harry's anti-Semitic Halloween costume.
Criminals using XL bully dogs as weapons to threaten others.
No matter how well trained, most dog owners will tell you a dog can turn.
Do you know what I love about Talk Today? We do it all. Sunak, Suella, scones. I rather like David Cameron. I don't sort of bear him any ill will because he delivered the referendum that he said he would deliver.
The Israelis are very conciliatory. All they want is to be recognised.
The timing of this Hamas attack comes because there was the expectation there was going to be a deal done sort of normalising relations with Saudi Arabia.
The Tories love a scrap. You can almost see this coming round the tracks with Suella Braverman. She's heading up one side and Rishi Sunak the other. Reshuffle's usually very dull. This one had booster rockets attached to it.
Certainly the tone has shifted in terms of what Rishi Sunak has done. The question now is what he does next.
The police are pro-Palestine.
That is just not right. You swear an oath in the police to act without fear or favour.
The COVID inquiry seems to have turned into a sort of pantomime. There's not really any substance to it.
It's hard to know whether it's a farce or a tragedy.
TalkTV has spoken exclusively to a member of the Blade Runners.
Do you have a message for Sadiq Khan?
We're not stopping until you stop.
The amount of time it's taken, the number of illegal migrants currently sent by us to Rwanda, zilch. The amount of money it's cost, what are we saying it's cost?
About 140 million.
140 million pounds so far. So 140 million pounds, so far result nil, absolutely nil.
Are we only going to be trusting sources like Meta and Google? Where is our unbiased news going to come from?
Calais in winter is cold.
That is from the Jeremy Corbyn book.
Kevin O'Sullivan is the worst presenter on TalkTV, sitting on his fat arse talking for a living.
If you're walking towards me and you're a vegan, you should have a great big orange sticker over here saying, "Watch out, vegans about."
The weirdest plank that we've had in, 3 years? Hundreds and hundreds of mice in a box, which he walked into a branch of McDonald's. McMouseman.
McMouseman, yeah.
McMouseman.
He should be easy enough to catch, this guy, shouldn't he? I mean, he's got a house full of mice.
He's on
This is a major summit. President Biden decided this was important after watching a Tom Cruise film.